Welcome to the appendix, where we read the primary sources of the past so that the present can be better understood. Today's primary source, Virginia Statute of Religious Liberty, January 16, 1786, as found in W. W. Henning, Statutes of Large of Virginia, Volume 12, page 84. The Declaration of Rights of 1776 had announced the principle of religious liberty, but the Anglican Church was still the established church. In 1777, the Liberals succeeded in repealing the statutes requiring church attendance and universal support of the established church, but it was not until 1779 that the church was disestablished. Even this was not satisfactory, and Jefferson prepared a bill for absolute religious freedom and equality. This complete divorcement of church and state was bitterly opposed not only by the Episcopal, but by the Presbyterian and other dissenting churches as well. The proposal to make all Christian churches state religions on equal standing and support them by taxation found favor with such men as Patrick Henry, Washington, and other conservatives. Jefferson characterized the long struggle for religious freedom as the severest contest in which I have ever been engaged, and it was not until 1785 that this bill, sponsored in his absence by Mason, Madison, Taylor, George, and W.C. Nichols, passed the House in January 1786. It was accepted by the Senate and became law. Thus, wrote Madison, in Virginia was extinguished forever the ambitious hopes of making laws for the human mind. While Jefferson regarded it as one of his three memorable contributions to history, the bill was translated into French and Italian and aroused worldwide remark. One, whereas Almighty God hath created the mind free, that all attempts to influence it by temporal punishments, or burthens, or by civil incapacitations, tends only to beget habits of hypocrisy and means, and are a departure from the plan of the holy author of our religion, who, being Lord both of body and mind, yet choose not to propagate it by coercions on either, as was in his almighty power to do, that the impious presumption of legislatures and rulers, civil as well as ecclesiastical, who being themselves but fallible and uninspired men, have assumed dominion over the faith of others, setting up their own opinions and modes of thinking as the only true and infallible, and as such endeavoring to impose them on others, hath established and maintained false religions over the greatest part of the world, and throughout all time, that to compel a man to furnish contributions of money for the propagation of opinions which he disbelieves is sinful and tyrannical, that even forcing him to support this or that teacher of his own religious persuasion is depriving him of the comfortable liberty of giving his contributions to the particular pastor whose morals he would make his pattern, and whose power he feels most persuasive to righteousness, and is withdrawing from the ministry those temporary rewards which, proceeding from an approbation of their personal conduct, are an additional incitement to earnest and unremitting labors for the instruction of mankind, that our civil rights have no dependence on our religious opinions, any more than our opinions in physics or geometry, that therefore the prescribing any citizen as unworthy the public confidence by laying upon him an incapacity of being called to offices of trust and immolation unless he professes or renounce this or that religious opinion, is depriving him injuriously of those privileges and advantages to which in common with his fellow citizen he has a natural right, that it tends only to corrupt the principles of that religion and it's meant to encourage, by bribing with a monopoly of worldly honors and immolations those who will externally profess and conform to it, that though indeed these are criminal who do not withstand such temptation, yet neither are those innocent who lay the bait in the other way, that to suffer the civil magistrate to intrude his powers into the field of opinion, and to restrain the profession or propagation of principles on supposition of their ill tendency, is a dangerous fallacy, which at once destroys all religious liberty, because he, belonging, of course, judge of that tendency, will make his opinions the rule of judgment, and approve or condemn the sentiments of others only as they shall square with or differ from his own, that it is time enough for the rightful purposes of civil governments from its officers to interfere when principles break out into overt acts against peace and good order. And finally, that truth is great and will prevail if left to herself, that she is the proper and sufficient antagonist to err, and has nothing to fear from the conflict, unless by human interposition, disarmed of her natural weapons, free argument and debate, errs ceasing to be dangerous when it is permitted freely to contradict them. 2. Be it enacted by the General Assembly that no man shall be compelled to frequent or support any religious worship, place, or ministry whatsoever, nor shall be enforced, restrained, molested, or burthened in his body or goods, nor shall otherwise suffer on account of his religious opinions or belief, but that all men shall be free to profess, and by argument to maintain their opinion in matters of religion, and that the same shall in no wise diminish, enlarge, or affect their civil capacities. 3. And though we well know that this assembly, elected by the people for the ordinary purposes of legislation only, have no power to restrain the acts of seceding assemblies, constituted with powers equal to our own, and that therefore to declare this act to be irrevocable would be of no effect in the law, yet as we are free to declare, and do declare, that the rights hereby asserted are of the natural rights of mankind, and that if any act shall hereafter be passed to repeal the present, or to narrow its operation, such an act will be an infringement of natural right. Thank you for joining us for our primary source today on the appendix. We will see you in the snacks.